Self-aware leader. What is going on, everyone? Today's the day. I'm going to talk about my introverted superpowers and how we navigate relationships as a leader. Now, you may be extroverted, but in your ability to be able to have a conversation when it's needed, I've seen a lot of extroverted, passive-aggressive people. So it's going to help you. So if you feel like you're not introverted, this is still going to help you. So let's go over this. As an introverted leader, which I am, I've always been fascinated by the dynamics of human interaction, especially when it comes to how we build relationships, how we nurture relationships. And for me, social interaction is a bit draining, but I also know the immense value. Everything I've ever had in life or got in life, for the most part, has been a relationship that I had with someone or met someone, and then this went from here to there to that to this and created a ton of value. So how do we balance our need for solitude with the essential task of forging meaningful connections? First, I want us to see introversion as a strength. It's not a weakness. We have to get that out of our head. We've been raised in this old school way where if you were an introvert, you were weak. But I want us to go through history. And if you want, go to whatever your favorite AI thing is and type on there a list. Go through history and give me a list of people that were introverted. You're going to be shocked. I believe it's a superpower. Just as I believe you being an extrovert is a superpower too. There's different things, different superpowers. Like every hero, every villain has different powers, doesn't he? And it's if you know your powers and you know how to use them. We all remember, Luke and Yoda and the whole scenario there and learning about your power. That's what being a self-aware leader is. So our introverted nature grants us unique strengths like, I'm going to give you some here, deep thinking, active listening, and empathy. We like one-on-one conversations. And we excel at trying to truly understand another person's perspective. And if you're extroverted and you're out there, you're like, oh, hell no, I don't have time for that. That's why introverts are so great. And if you're an extrovert, you need to have introverts on your team. If you're introverted, you need to have extroverts on your team. Because you want this well-rounded, you want different people with different superpowers from the ones that you have. But because our preference for introspection, it is like a challenge for a lot of us to initiate new relationships. So I want to, and this is going to help everyone now, I want to get into the dance of human interaction. And it's a pattern. We've evolved to communicate. We have social skills that have been through tens of thousands of years, and it's all the same. This is evolutionary psychology, guys. It all starts with avoidance. We always try to avoid. This is why people that really get good at sales don't mind the avoidance. A lot of introverts do bad at sales because they can't handle the avoidance. It's natural when you first meet somebody to feel hesitant. We all are this way. That's why when you go on a date for the first time, even though you may fall in love and that may be your person and you marry them, when you first meet, you're hesitant. And a lot of people cancel dates because of avoidance. This is something that our ego does not want us to do. But as leaders, we have to step out of our comfort zone, don't we? We have to actively engage. That's what we do. So we need to understand when we become self-aware enough where we're understanding and say, oh, I'm just avoiding. Oh, I'm just avoiding. That's all this is. It's that simple. It's putting it out there and be like, I don't mind talking to new people. I can do this. I'm a leader. This is what I'm going to do. It's just avoidance. It's just an ego thing. That affirmation right there will, a lot of times when you bring light to it and you feel like the emotion's not real because that emotion's not real, it's just a protective phase that the ego wants. The ego wants you at home on the couch, eating ice cream, binge watching Apple TV. That's what the ego wants, but it's not good for you. So if we step out of our comfort zone, we actively engage others, it will lead us to the next phase, and that's the competition phase. This is where after we meet somebody and we kind of get comfortable with them, we start exchanging ideas, we exchange energy, and sometimes we even clash with people, don't we? And this intense interaction, this helps us, if we understand this, this is the springboard to establish a dynamic of compliance. And that defines the power structure in the relationship. Like mentors are that way, right? My mentors, I'm going to be submissive to because I want to gain their wisdom. I want to understand. I'm Luke, and if I'm talking to a Yoda, I'm going to be quiet and listen. I understand the power structure there, and I submissively put myself there in that. And is he any better than me? No, of course not. But I know that we all have these power structures, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not talking about male patriarchal or any of that stuff. I'm talking about a power structure between a relationship, in the relationship when it comes to leadership. And the final and most rewarding phase is mutual understanding. And that's the beautiful moment when we realize that even with our differences, we can find common ground. We might even, and we hear this all the time, agree to disagree. Some of my closest friends have opposite political opinions that I do, but I still respect them, and I still want to get their opinion, and I still want to have a shared understanding, and I want to know their position. So when we talk, sometimes they'll bring it up or I'll bring it up, and I'll try to listen and understand and see where they're coming from. We may even have, friendship arguments, if you want to call it that. But over time, we still respect each other. So how do we build influence as a leader? Well, it's our responsibility as a leader to understand this dance of human interaction, the avoidance, competition, compliance, and mutual understanding, and guide individuals through these phases of interaction. It all starts with overcoming avoidance and encouraging genuine engagement. And we've all heard of this before, and if you haven't, it's really too. It's called KLT. Know, like, and trust. It's a concept, and I love it. KLT, know, I want to get to know the person. I want to like the person. I'm going to find something about each and every single person that I like. Even if I disagree with them, if they're on the far right or the far left, whatever it may be, I want to find what I like about the person. Oh, I have a friend of mine that is extremely far left, and she is so compassionate and so loving and so caring and will do anything for anybody. She's so compassionate and caring, she can never even think to harm an animal. She doesn't harm bugs, she puts them out. And we can have conversations and go over that, her being vegan, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. In her mind, she's being compassionate and loving to the best of her ability. And I appreciate that because there's a lot of cruel people out there, isn't there? There's a lot of people that are narcissistic. And she's willing to serve and help out in any way possible. So know, like, and trust. KLT. Relationships begin with getting to know someone, and that requires overcoming initial hesitations. I also have friends that are on the right or the far right, and I can have conversations with them about taxes or personal freedom or property rights and understand and try to learn from them. Whether I agree or disagree, this is a thing that we need to learn in the United States and stop. As a leader, you've got to build bridges, guys. That's what we're called to do as a leader. And these initial hesitations that the ego puts out, that's all these are. It is our responsibility to guide ourselves and individuals through these phases. Once we engage, we can navigate through competition and compliance, and then that's going to foster a sense of liking. Even if it's not a deep connection, it doesn't have to, not every relationship introvert has to be super deep or don't want to talk to them. It's not that way. Not with everyone. So know, like, and trust. Trust in wrestling can blossom unexpectedly. And how trust happens, we've all had this prolonged exposure to someone. You get to know them. You realize that they're a decent, good person. And then through the time, you begin to trust them. And I don't need to deeply like you to trust you. I have people that I think are assholes, but I trust them. I'm thinking of someone right now that's an accountant that is not a nice person, but I trust them with numbers. And it's not my accountant, so I don't want to hear that. This is another person that lives in many states. I've met him a few times. Super knowledgeable, but doesn't seem to be the nicest person in the world. I don't need to like him to trust him. Trust often arises from observing predictable behavior patterns. Oh, this person at work, even though I totally disagree with them, wow, they show up on time. Wow, they do their job. If I get past my bias, my bullshit bias, and actually look at the person, they're predictable. They have great behavior patterns. They're a great employee. And when you coach somebody and you begin to learn them, you're going to pull people through these phases just through the coaching. That's why coaching is so important. And I talk about it every single podcast. It's about knowing that someone will consistently deliver even if we don't always agree with their methods. It doesn't have to be your way all the time there, boss. I appreciate when people do things. It's so creative to me when somebody does something and gets it done and it's totally different than the way I thought. I love that. It's like, explain that to me. I want to know how you did that. That's awesome. Oh, wow. You did it better than it. I have that all the time. It's like, oh, wow. You did that way better than I was even thinking. Cool. Go over this with me. I want to see. That's so awesome. And then I'm just praise because it was a job well done, right? So embrace the journey. Building relationships as an introverted leader is an ongoing journey. It requires us to step outside our comfort zones, doesn't it? It requires us to actively engage with others and embrace the different phases of human interaction. And remember, you introverts out there, remember this. Your introverted superpowers make you uniquely equipped to foster deep, meaningful connections. And that will, if you do that, if you get past the first phase of avoidance as an introvert and you begin to develop deep, meaningful connections and you foster those like a farmer works his crops, you do that with a person, it will propel you to new heights of leadership success. I guarantee you that. I want to know, guys, put in the comments, what are your experiences as an introverted leader? I'd love to hear your thoughts and insights. I get those every week. I appreciate it. Thanks for telling me that. Number one thing you can do is share this podcast. It's free. I'll always have it free, but the number one thing that you can do is to share it with other leaders. If you get information out of this, if it's awesome for you, please share it with other leaders. That's what I'm about. I want to get this information out so I can help others. Also, you have the selfawarepodcast.com. That's our website, selfawarepodcast.com. You can go on there, subscribe to all our different channels, subscribe to my Substack. That's where I put all these out. Love you guys. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Let's all be a better self-aware leader.